Many of the folk may not know you, but they will have undoubtedly come past the Amy Carmichael sculpture outside, which was one of your most recent pieces of work. And I know you're embarrassed to talk about your work and you don't like doing this. And we're really privileged that you've come tonight to do this for us. I really am very grateful to you for it. I managed to glue you to a seat a few months back, and we recorded a short video in which you did the rare thing of talking about your own journey, your life, your work, and so on. And we're hoping to show that in a wee minute. But for now, what I want to do is I want to talk to you about the church and the arts, okay? And what do you think the church at large, this is a bunch of people here who are keen. They're out on a Saturday night to think about mission work. How do you think the church in general engages with the arts?
Well, first, to put some context to it, C.S. Lewis once said that there is no neutral space in the universe. Every square inch, every split second is claimed by God and counterclaimed by Satan. So we are not on neutral ground. The church needs to use creativity to promote, spread, and impact the world with the gospel. That's one of the first things. The first description we have of God, as you sang in your first piece, is a God who creates. The first image we have of God in the first verse of Scripture is a God who creates. And that's a really important thing, because not only does he create, but we were recreated through his Son, which is an amazing privilege, and that's something we need to carry on in a daily way. God didn't stop creating, he still creates through us. And as the church, we need to take that forward.
Do you think that's happening much?
I think it needs to be encouraged from within the church. It needs to be encouraged within education, from Sunday school, from prayer time at home, from parents. We're all creative. Some of us may not know that tonight, but we are. And the definition of the word creativity is the power to create unique and original work. And each of us can do that in a different way. It may not be through a sculpture. It may be through teaching a child at school. It may be not through a painting. It may be getting alongside someone or a street child and speaking to him about Christ. There's many different ways to do it. And we have a responsibility, and we should be motivated to do that.
Okay. Do you think there are genuine opportunities for mission that are achieved through the arts?
I do think there are genuine opportunities. I've experienced that in my journey as an artist and a sculptor, and maybe not in always a direct way, but things that come around and speak in ways that are important and that are subtle. And Lewis talked about getting past the watchful dragons. There are people, groups, organizations who want to keep the truth back for whatever reason. And we have a duty to find a way through that. And truth will find its way through that. It's a big responsibility for us as creative people to be creative with how we bring truth to others.
Thank you. I also want to ask you how, we've talked privately a lot of times about the church and the arts and how sometimes it can be quite discouraging to be involved in the arts and part of a church. How can people who are keen Christians, who maybe don't necessarily understand all the nuances of art or who particularly appreciate it, how can they encourage people like you who are trying to cross those boundaries and carry the truth into places that maybe the church doesn't find it easy to reach, but you're going with your paintbrush or your chisel or whatever it is you use in your hand?
I think I'm past encouraging now. It's my duty to encourage others, even within my own local church, from the youngest.
But say these people have somebody in their church who's an aspiring young artist. What can they do to try and help that person to feel encouraged in the walk that they're trying to do?
The most direct thing they could do is to buy a painting from them. Yeah, I'd recommend that.
From them?
From them.
I thought you said for them the first time.
No.
Is it like, hold on, can't
if it's not good, buy one for them.
Yes.
But if it's good, buy one from them. Okay. I think you have to support and encourage, and we all have a responsibility to do that. I think it was Derek once said that, Derek Bingham, that encouragement is oxygen to the soul. And we need to encourage each other in creativity. In everyday life, we need encouragement. And the definition of culture, which sounds very grand, and is what you do and how it affects other people around you. And we have a responsibility to spread the culture of creativity through the gospel, through the person of Christ, who's been recreated, or who we've been recreated through, and that's a big responsibility.
Okay. I believe the video is ready, which means that, as per our conversation earlier on, you're allowed to leave the room now because you hate watching yourself on a screen. Thank you very much to Ross for coming this evening and for what is shared also in the video.
When I was a child, I was very aware of the seasons and things changing, and the landscape was my first great work of art to look at. I grew up in a country area, so I was aware of how farmers and others would till the land, use the land to grow things. It was an abundant source, so I became fascinated by it as a child. As I got a bit older, I was interested in the idea of recording this and sharing this fascination, helping others to see it. I became aware of this idea that, you could do something that was magical with paint, and you could bring people along to a point where they had an almost spiritual experience. And people used to say to me, your work has spirit, but I knew it was just a colour combination. That real spirit was deeper than that. It was something profound, it was something unseen, it was something that worked from within. And that started to happen to me as a student. And so I became more aware of what was around me in a different kind of way. And that idea of seeing with the soul of the eye, not just through the lens of the eye, but with the soul of the eye, because sight is an immensely spiritual thing. Seeing things has a spiritual effect on you, whether you know it or not. Some of the things that really inspire me are things that have happened a long time ago that have almost been overlooked or forgotten. But looking back at things that have a longevity, that are still working, like the work of C.S. Lewis, his writings, his text, which still affects millions of people around the world today, and he died in 1963. Or someone like Amy Carmichael, who was challenged by God to go and reach out to people in another land, in India. She died in 1951, and yet her legacy is a living legacy. It's a legacy of grace, which is still working in thousands of lives in India. Or someone like Seamus Heaney, the great Irish poet and Nobel laureate. He touched into the eternal in his work as well, and sometimes helped us to see and glimpse beyond the ordinary. And by exalting the ordinary around us, we have an interest that's pushed forward to this idea of a creator, and that God is interested in ordinary things, that he's interested in the universal but also the particular, and that we are that particular to him, that he sent his son to die for us. One of my favourite Lewis quotations is, there are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind. And one of my favourite Heaney quotations is, believe that a further shore is reachable from here. And that's something we need to consider in this day and age, that further shore, that eternal shore, that place where we are called to.